And po. Okay po. So yung ating pong first topic is about the Anti-Rape Law of 1997 or the RA number 8353. Let me just clarify that we already have an anti-rape law before, which is already included in our revised penal code. Meron na po tayong existing before. No? Ang ginawa lang po nitong RA number 8353 is in-expand po niya yung pong application nito. No? At na-clarify po niya kung ano-ano pa po ang mga uri ng rape. Okay? So, ang buong title po niya, An Act Expanding the Definition of the Crime of Rape, reclassifying the same as a crime against persons, amending for the purpose of Act number 3815 as amended, otherwise known as the Revised Penal Code, and for other purposes. So yan nga po, no? Meron na po kasi tayong anti-rape law doon sa ating pong Revised Penal Code. No? So ano po ang ginawa ng batas na ito? First is that it declared the crime of rape as a crime against persons. No? Kasi dati po, ang rape po is classified under sa crimes against chastity. No? So ngayon po, siya po ay crime against person na po siya. No? So when we say crime against persons, no, ibig sabihin ito po ay isang crime na directed against an individual, no? Through violence, assault, no? Force. Okay? So yan na po ang kanyang classification. If you will contrast that, later on po, ipapaliwanag po natin ano naman po yung pinakaiba nito sa crimes against chastity. Okay? Now, because it is already elevated to a crime against person, tinanggal po siya doon sa ating pong part ng crimes against chastity at nailipat po siya doon sa ating portion on the Revised Penal Code under crimes against person. At ito nga po ay nasa Title 8 ng Revised Penal Code at ngayon po ay meron ng bagong chapter, no, sa Chapter 3 na ang sole na content po nito is yung tungkol po sa rape. Okay? So ano po ba yung pinagkaiba niya dun sa crimes against chastity since ito po yung original na category niya, no? So pag sinabi po natin crimes against chastity, ito po ay may sexual context, no? So ibig sabihin po ay may sexual intent yung crime, no? So kasama po diyan yung tinatawag po natin na adultery and concubinage, no? So pag sinabi po nating adultery, ibig sabihin isang married woman na nagkaroon ng relationship or sexual relationship with a man, no? Pag concubinage naman po, a married man, no, having sexual relationship with another woman, no? It doesn't have to be, no, yung pong sinasabi po natin na mistress or yung pong kabit na sinasabi natin ay married, no? Kahit hindi po siya married. Ang kinakasawang po kasi natin diyan primarily is yung lalaki, but of course you have to also file a case against the woman, no? By the reason that the man is already married, no? So doon sa adultery naman po, ang reason kung bakit sila nakagawa ng crime is because yung babae ay kasal na, no? So far po ngayon po sa ating pong batas, no, medyo meron po tayong discrepancy diyan, no? Kasi in our law po, no, pag sinabi po kasi natin na adultery, no, ay ibig sabihin po niyan ay basta ang isang babae ay nahuli na nagkaroon ng sexual intercourse sa isang lalaki na hindi niya asawa, that is already sufficient ground for adultery, no? Whereas pag concubinage naman daw po, no, mas marami, no? Hindi raw po sapat na isang beses lang, no, mas maraming instances ng sexual intercourse or pag nahuli yung lalaki having sexual congress na in a scandalous situation, no. So yun po yung requirement para sa lalaki, no. So medyo siya po ay unfair, no, pagdating sa mga babae, no? Kasi sa babae isang beses lang kaso na kagad, pag sa lalaki mas maraming beses, no. So we are trying to remedy this po, no, para po maging equal po yung basihan natin na pagsasampa ng kaso dito. Okay? Next, crimes against chastity is yung tinatawag po natin na acts of lasciviousness, no? So ito po yung hinihipuan ng isang tao, minamolest siya, no? Yan po, no. Pero ang kailangan po nating um, i-distinguish dito is uh, ano po bang pinakaiba niya with rape, no? Kasi sa rape po kasi meron tayong intention to have sexual intercourse. No? Pag sa acts of lasciviousness, no, hindi yun yung intention ng perpetrator. No? The perpetrator never intended to engage in sexual intercourse. So, however, yung kanyang mga acts, no, is considered, no, lascivious because hinawakan niya probably yung private parts ng victim o kaya ay he or she did something disgusting to the person of the victim. Okay. So, ang isa pa pong crimes against chastity natin is yung pong tinatawag natin na seduction. So, seduction, corruption of minors, and white slave trade. No? So, yung seduction tsaka yung corruption of minors po is yung pag ang victim po natin is below 18 years old, no? And sa seduction po is nagkaroon po siya ng sexual intercourse, no? Using his influence or authority, no? Hindi naman po pinilit yung bata, no? Pero pumayag yung bata for the reason that yung perpetrator ay may authority or may influence sa bata, kaya siya napapayag na mag-engage sa sexual intercourse. So kasama po diyan, for example, yung mga priests, mga teachers, no? Persons in authority, no? As long as meron po siyang influence or authority doon sa victim at na-convince niya yung victim na mag-engage in sexual intercourse, doon po yung sa seduction. And then corruption of minors po, pag po ang mga minors ay influenced to do lascivious acts or lewd acts, no? Pag po sa white slave trade naman po, yun po yung pag po naibubugaw po ang ibang tao, no? Forced to do prostitution. Yan po yung mga crimes against chastity natin. And of course, yung po pala yung huling abduction. No? Abduction is forcibly taking a woman. No? Ito po, babae lang din po ang pwedeng maging victim dito pag po ang babae ay forcibly taken for lewd design. No? So meron po siyang pagnanasa doon sa babae. No? So mamaya po, doon po sa abduction, it doesn't have to have the element of sexual intercourse. No? As long as ikaw ay in-abduct, forcibly taken by, the woman is forcibly taken, and the intention is lewd, no? Yun po ay abduction. No? So ibang usapan na po yun pag pinilit siya magkaroon ng sexual intercourse, no? In the occasion of abduction. Magiging rape na po yun. Okay? So, rape, when and how committed, no? Paano po ba nagkakaroon ng rape? Okay, so dalawa po ang uri natin ng rape, no? So una po kasi, no, ang pinakang concept po kasi natin ng rape noon, no? Rape can only be committed against a woman, no? Babae lang po ang pwedeng maging biktima ng rape noon, no? Noon po 'yon. Okay? Kasi ang ating pong prevailing notion pagdating sa rape is as long as a woman is forced to engage in sexual intercourse, no? Against her will, no? Ito po ay rape na, no? So sa atin po, sa ating pong bagong batas, no? Dito po sa batas na ito, no? Dalawa na po ang uri ng rape. Ang una pong uri ng rape is yung pong may sexual intercourse. So rape through sexual intercourse. So dito po ang requirement, no? Kailangan po ang victim is babae, no? Babae lang po ang pwedeng maging victim dito sa unang uri ng rape. And the operative act here is that sexual intercourse yung ating naging act, no? Kasi later on po, no, explain po natin kung ano po yung pinakaiba niya doon sa isa pang uri ng rape, no? So dito po, again, rape through sexual intercourse, no? Ano po yung mga requirement natin para siya maituring dito, no? So pwedeng ang babae ay pinuwersa, no? O tinakot para siya ay pumayag na magkaroon ng sexual intercourse, no? So ito po yung ating textbook na rape, no? Ito po yung lagi nating nagiging example pag sinasabi nating rape, no? Pinuwersa siya, pinilit siya, tinakot siya, no? Para siya ay ma-force na magkaroon ng sexual congress with the perpetrator, no? Ang pangalawa po, ayan, ito rin po ay nasa luma, no? Kasama po, ito pong dalawa nasa lumang batas naman po natin ito, no? So, ang pangalawa po natin is when the offended party is deprived of reason or otherwise unconscious. So, ito po yung ano, no? Nagiging dahilan po ng iba, no? Pagka halimbawa ay nag-inuman sila, halimbawa, ito po sa mga kabataan ngayon, nagiinuman sila, no? Pag nalasing na, no? Especially pag yung babae na lasing na, no? Hindi na niya alam kung anong nangyayari, no? Tapos kinabukasan, magigising siya, yung pala, meron nang nangyari sa kanya uh, with her friends, no? Kasi medyo lasing na nga sila, hindi na nila alam kung anong ginagawa nila. So, yun po yung sinasabi natin dito, no? So when we say the offended partner, the victim is deprived of reason, it could be because of intoxication, lasing siya, o kaya she was drugged, no? Possible na pinainom siya ng roofie, na roofie siya, or pwede naman po na binigyan siya ng illegal drugs, kaya hindi niya alam kung ano nang ginagawa niya, no? Or pwede naman yung babae, no, ay unconscious, no, for some other reason. Like for example, yung babae nag-collapse talaga siya, no, possibly because of a mental condition, o kaya naman yung babae ay sobrang o kaya na-knock out yung babae because of a force not caused by the perpetrator, no, is still the woman is unconscious, no? So siya po ay magfo-fall under dito sa category na ito, no? So ito po yung nadagdag, no, sa ating batas, no? By means of fraudulent machination or grave abuse of authority. Yan, no? So dito po yung pag sinabi po nating fraudulent machination, no? Niloko yung babae, no? Niloko yung babae kaya siya ay uh, nag-engage sa sexual intercourse with the perpetrator, no? May ginawa siyang mga panlilinlang, no? And or merong authority, no, yung tao, no, at inutusan niya o inabuso niya yung kanyang kapangyarihan, no, para mapuwersa yung babae na mag-engage in sexual intercourse. Okay, so yung pang-apat po, no, this is also included in the old law, no? When the offended party is under 12 years of age or is demented, even though none of the circumstances mentioned above be present. No? So dalawa po ito, no? Pag below 12 years old yung bata, or if the victim is demented, ibig sabihin may sakit sa pag-iisip, no? So yung pong unang tinatawag, yung pong una na which is when the offended party is under 12 years old, no? Ito po yung sinasabi natin na statutory rape, no? Mapapansin niyo po sabi dito, even though none of the circumstances mentioned above be present, no? So kahit wala yung force, kahit hindi siya deprived of reason, or hindi siya ginamitan ng machination or authority, no? Pero kung siya ay 12 years old pababa, matik na po yun, rape na kagad yun. Kaya yung po tinatawag natin na statutory rape. Regardless of whether or not the victim gave her consent, no, to the act, no, kahit pumayag yung bata, no, as long as she is 12 years old pababa, that's already statutory rape, no. Wala na po tayong kawala diyan, no. Kaya nga po pagka no, tinatanong, no, ilang taon na ba yung bata? O 12 years old daw, papatay na. Wala na. Hindi na tayo diyan nagtatanong kung ginusto ba niya o hindi, no? Because automatic po yan po ay statutory rape na, no? Yung po namang pangalawa niya, when the person is demented, no? So of course, yung tao po ay not capable of giving his or her consent, no? So kaya kahit hindi po niya gamitan siya ng threat, ng force, ng intimidation, o kaya ay kahit hindi siya deprived of hindi siya unconscious, no? But the person is already deprived of reason by the fact that by the fact that she is already demented, no? So wala na siyang reason noong time na yon, no? So ibig sabihin, if you engage in intercourse with that kind of person, no, matik yan po ay rape na. Okay? So ang pangalawa po natin, yun po yung una, no? Yun po yung ating tinatawag na traditional na na rape, no? For our purposes, yun po yung rape through sexual intercourse. Yung pangalawa pong uri ng rape, no, as per our law, no, yung bago na po nating batas is yung ito naman po yung rape through sexual assault, no? So ano po ba 'yon, no? By any person who under any of the circumstances mentioned in paragraph 1 hereof shall commit an act of sexual assault by inserting his penis into another person's mouth or anal orifice or any instrument or object into the genital or anal orifice of another person, no? So ito po, dito pwede pong pumasok yung sinasabi natin na rape po ng mga lalaki, no? So pwede na pong ma-rape ang mga lalaki kasi pagka tinatanong po natin, pwede po bang ma-rape ang mga lalaki? Ang iniisip kagad po natin is parang hindi siya possible, no? Kasi ang magiging reasoning diyan is pag ang mga lalaki naman daw kasi is ano, no, hindi motivated, no? Hindi naman daw po talaga magkakaroon ng erection. And therefore, how can you rape a man against his will, no? So actually, meron na pong case na tungkol diyan, no? Sa US, no, na ganun po yung paraan ng pagre-rape doon sa lalaki. However, sa atin po sa Pilipinas, ano po ba yung paraan para ma-rape ang kailan po ba natin masasabi na ang isang lalaki na rape, no? So dito po siya sa sexual assault, no? Kasi dito po, ano po ang dalawang paraan ng pagko-commit dito? Una, kung yung pong perpetrator natin, no, ay lalaki at ang ginawa niya, na i-insert niya ang kanyang private organ, no, sa bibig o sa anal orifice ng victim, no, sa puwet o sa bibig, no? Yun ay kung lalaki po ang perpetrator natin at ang biktima po ay either lalaki o babae, no? So as long as na-insert niya ang kanyang private part sa bibig o sa puwet ng biktima, that is sexual assault, no? Now, ang second kind po nito is kahit lalaki siya o babae siya, pero ang ginamit ay any instrument or object. So kahit anong bagay po ito, no? This will also include fingers, no? At ito ay pinasok sa genital or anal orifice of another person, no? This is sexual assault, no? So meaning to say, dahil ang lalaki po naman ay merong anal orifice, pwedeng ma-rape ang lalaki, no? So pwedeng i-insert any foreign object sa anal orifice na ito, no? And if that happens, no, it can be, no, considered as sexual assault. Now, you can also argue na pwede rin naman doon sa genital, no? Kasi meron din naman pong part kung saan a foreign object can be inserted in the genital of a man, no? So maybe we can argue that any insertion of a foreign object into that in that orifice of the genital of a man can also be considered as sexual assault. Okay? So yan po, pwede na pong ma-rape ang lalaki. Dito po, ang kadalasan po nagiging biktima, no, sad to say, ay mga bata, no? Specifically mga minors po na lalaki, no? Pagdating po dun sa mga ganitong klase ng sexual assault, no? So perpetrator nito is an older man and then the victim is a young man, no? So ano po ba ang nagiging parusa natin pag ang isang tao ay napag-alaman na guilty ng rape, no? So if it is a rape through sexual intercourse, okay, when it is committed with the use of a deadly weapon or by two or more persons, no? So kung ginamitan po siya ng nakamamatay na sandata, for example, meron po siyang patalim, meron siyang baril na hawak, kaya niya na puwersa yung biktima or dalawa sila o mas marami pa, no, by the use of sheer numbers, no, kaya na overpower yung victim, no. So yung una po hindi makapalagang biktima kasi the perpetrator is brandishing or using a deadly weapon to solicit or to force her submission, no. Again, dito po ang pinag-usapan po natin dito, ang pwede lang po maging biktima ay babae kasi this is rape via sexual intercourse, no? Or kanina po pwedeng through the use of a deadly weapon. Ngayon naman po, pwede rin po na kaya hindi makapanlaban yung babae, yung biktima, is because there are two or more persons na nanghahara sa kanya or nang o-offend sa kanya. No? So, by sheer number. Kaya siya po ay hindi maka-retaliate or to protect herself. No? So, pag ganun po, reclusion perpetua to death ang ating penalty. Now, take note po na death penalty is not no abolished, no? Hindi pa po na-abolish ang death penalty natin. It is merely suspended. No? So ibig sabihin may death penalty pa rin po tayo sa ating batas, yun nga lang po hindi po siya pinapayagan na ma-impose, no? So the moment that the death penalty is reinstated, then pwede na rin po tayong magkaroon ng maparusahan ng death penalty ang mga perpetrator nito. Okay? Ang susunod po is when by reason or on the occasion of the rape, the victim has become insane. No? Pag po yung biktima dahil sa ginawa sa kanya na baliw siya, no? Nawala siya sa kanyang tamang pag-iisip. No? So, ang mangyayari po dyan, ang kanyang parusa is again, reclusion perpetua to death. No? By the way lang po, let's just clarify. No? When you say reclusion perpetua, according to our Philippine law, no? That's 20 years and 1 day to 40 years. No? So, baka po kasi magkaroon tayo ng misguided notion na pag sinabing reclusion perpetua, no? Reclusion, tas perpetua, no? Edi forever. Hindi naman po. No? So, that's up to 40 years. No? So, when the rape is attempted and a homicide is committed by reason or on the occasion thereof, the penalty shall be reclusion perpetua to death. No? So dito po, attempted rape pa lang. No? Pero, dahil sa attempted rape na ito, namatay ang biktima. No? Ano ang magiging parusa po natin? Reclusion perpetua to death. Okay? You will contrast that to the next one. No? Kasi, yung pong isa, when by reason or on the occasion of the rape, homicide is committed, the penalty shall be death. So mapapansin po natin, pag attempted lang po siya, and then a homicide was committed, no? Ang magiging parusa is pwedeng reclusion perpetua lang or death. Pero pag ang nangyari is consummated na siya, ibig sabihin, na-rape talaga siya, and then napatay pa, no? Ang penalty natin is death na kaagad. Wala ng reclusion perpetua. Okay? Matik po yun. Okay. So, one death penalty is warranted. No? Ano na pa po ba yung mga situation where death penalty is imposed, no? In the occasion of the commission of rape. So the death penalty shall be also imposed if the crime of rape is committed with any of the following aggravating qualifying circumstances. So dito po again, take note lang po, no? Clarify ko lang na ito pong mga qualifying and aggravating circumstances is in the occasion of a rape by sexual intercourse. No? So ibig sabihin dito po yung first form ng rape, no? So pag ang rape po by the first form ay accompanied by the following, no? Ito po ay death penalty na kaagad. No? Ito po yung mga tinatawag natin na aggravating or qualifying circumstances. Number one, no, when the victim is under 18 years of age and the offender is a parent, ascendant, step-parent, guardian, relative by consanguinity or affinity within the third civil degree, or the common law spouse of the parent of the victim. So yan po, no? Ang reason po kasi dito is yung pong kanyang relations, no? So kamag-anak nyo na yung tao, tapos yung biktima, tapos ni-rape mo pa, and therefore, mas malala, no? Yung effect nito, no? Kaya na-elevate siya to death penalty, no? So dito po sa Pilipinas, ang marami pong nagiging case is yung pong rape by the common law spouse of the parent, no? Kasi pagka nagkahiwalay po yung mag-asawa, tapos ay yung babae na may custody din sa bata, sa anak nila, ay may kinakasamang iba, no? Siyempre yung yung kinakasama nung nanay, wala naman siyang blood relations doon sa anak nung babae, no? So mas nagiging ano siya, no? Aggressive siya doon sa bata, no? So yun po yung mas maraming cases natin with regards to this one, no? Okay, next is when the victim is under the custody of the police or military authorities or any law enforcement or penal institution. So dito po papasok yung halimbawa ang victim po ay hinuli, no? Whether or not it is legal or illegal yung arrest na ito, as long as the victim is in the custody of this uniformed officers, no? At ni-rape nila yung biktima, no? That penalty is warranted. Okay? Third, when the rape is committed in full view of the spouse, parent, or any of the children or other relatives within the third civil degree of consanguinity. No? So, to add insult to injury, no? Ano nangyari, no? Yung biktima ni-rape pa sa harap ng kanyang asawa, ng kanyang magulang o kaya sa kanyang mga anak o kanyang mga kamag-anak, no? So dito, yung intent nung perpetrator hindi lamang raping yung babae but also ipahiya siya, no? Kaya siya ay ni-rape sa harap ng ibang tao, no? So it is then elevated to death penalty. Next, when the victim is a religious engaged in legitimate religious vocation or calling and is personally known to be such by the offender before or at the time of the commission of the crime. So dito po halimbawa ang victim po natin is a nun, yung mga madre, no? Or any person performing task for the church, and people already identify this person to be of such position na kaya talagang yung kanyang image is of a person who is pious and who is religious in nature, no? So tas yun yung naging biktima ng rape at alam ito, no? Ang importante po diyan, dapat alam ito nung perpetrator nung ginawa niya yung crime. Okay? When the victim is a child below 7 years old, no? So dapat kanina nga po, 'di ba? Sabi natin, if the rape was committed against a person who is 12 years old and below, that's already statutory rape. Dito po pagka 7 years old pababa ang bata, no? Death penalty po kaagad 'yan, no? So kahit ano pong circumstances na nangyari, kasi kadalasan po sa mga nangyayaring biktima sa ganyan is yung bata po would probably die in the incident, no? Mamatay man yung bata o hindi, that's already death penalty na, no? As long as 7 years old pababa yung victim. Ito, pag po yung perpetrator, alam niya na meron siyang HIV, AIDS, and then nang-rape pa siya, no? So syempre, ang ano natin dito is hindi lang yung hindi lang yung fact na nang rape siya. It's the fact that talagang alam niya na mahahawa yung biktima niya, no? That's why it is graver, no, than an ordinary rape, no? And then, when it is committed by any member of the armed forces of the Philippines or paramilitary units thereof, or the Philippine National Police or any law enforcement agency or penal institution, when the offender took advantage of his position to facilitate the commission of the crime. So again, once again, pagka ang ating pong perpetrator ay mga uniformed officers at ginamit po nila ang kanilang impluensya at ang kanilang authority para ma-rape ang biktima. Number 8, when by reason or on the occasion of the rape, the victim has suffered permanent physical mutilation or disability. No? So for example po, yung biktima dahil sa ginawa sa kanyang pang-rape, pwedeng na-deform yung mukha niya, nagkaroon siya ng scar, natanggal ang tenga niya, o kaya ay one of the limbs becomes no longer serviceable o hindi na pwedeng gamitin yung isang limb niya. No? So yun po, nagkaroon ng physical mutilation doon sa biktima. No? So that will also warrant a death penalty. when the offender knew of the pregnancy of the offended party at the time of the commission of the crime. So alam niyang buntis yung biktima, no? So buntis yung biktima tapos ni-rape siya ng perpetrator, no? That will also warrant death penalty. Okay? And finally, when the offender knew of the mental disability, emotional disorder, or physical handicap of the offended party at the time of the commission of the crime. So dito po, alam ng perpetrator na mayroong problema sa pag-iisip yung biktima o kaya meron siyang kapansanan, no? And yet, no, siya pa rin yung tinarget ng perpetrator, no? This will also warrant the death penalty. Okay? So, paano kung yung pangalawang uri ng rape, no, which is sexual assault, no? So ito nga po yung the insertion of the penis in the mouth or in the anal of the victim, or the insertion of yung foreign object in the genitals or in the anus of the victim, no? So yun po yung sexual assault natin, no? So ano-ano po ba yung penalty natin? Rape under paragraph 2 of the next preceding article shall be punished by prison mayor. So kung kanina po, kadalasan po pag po sa sexual intercourse, mapapansin natin, naglalaro lang sa dalawa eh. Reclusion perpetua lang yan or death eh. Pero pag dito po sa bisexual assault, no, mas mababa po ang kanyang penalty. No? Kasi almost akin po siya. No? Almost katulad po lang siya ng acts of lasciviousness, no? So ano po bang parusa natin diyan, no? 6 years and 1 day to 12 years. Yan po ang magiging penalty natin if it is a rape through sexual assault. Okay? However, pwede po ito mag-increase, no? Kailan, no? Ito. Pag whenever the rape is committed with the use of a deadly weapon or by 2 or more persons, the penalty shall be prison mayor, no? So kung kanina po, 6 years to 12 years, ngayon naman po, prison mayor to reclusion temporal, 12 years and 1 day to 20 years. No? Yan po naman ang pwedeng maging penalty dyan. No? Pag ito po ay ginamitan ng deadly weapon or tulad po ng kanina, by the use of superior number. No? Next, when by the reason of the occasion of the rape, the victim has become insane, no? So again, yung kanina po, no, almost pareho lang siya, pero again, ang pinag-uusapan po natin dito is on the occasion of a rape through sexual assault, no? So nabaliw yung ating biktima, no? Ang magiging parusa po niya is reclusion temporal. When the rape is attempted and a homicide is committed by reason of the occasion thereof, the penalty shall be reclusion temporal to reclusion perpetua. So maalala po natin kanina, if it was the rape through sexual intercourse, ang nagiging penalty po natin is reclusion perpetua to death. Dito po, pag sexual assault, ang nagiging penalty po natin is reclusion temporal to reclusion perpetua. Okay? So ngayon po, again, lilinawin natin dito sa part na to, attempted rape pa lang po siya, pero nagkaroon ng homicide. No? So kaya ang parusa po sa kanya, pwedeng reclusion temporal lang or reclusion perpetua. However, if the rape, no, through sexual assault is committed with homicide, then ang parusa po natin, matik, hindi na reclusion temporal, no, reclusion perpetua na kagad. No? Yun na po kagad ang mangyayari. Okay, tulad po kanina, doon po sa sexual intercourse na from reclusion perpetua to death, no? Pag ganito po naman nangyari, no? But through sexual intercourse, di ba? Kanina po nasabi natin, na death penalty na kagad. No? So dito, pag sexual assault lang siya at namatay or may homicide na naganap, no? Reclusion perpetua na po kagad ang penalty. Reclusion temporal shall be imposed if the rape is committed with any of the 10 aggravating qualifying circumstances mentioned in this article. No? So, ang sinasabi po natin, di ba kanina po yung mga inisa-isa natin yung 1 to 10, no? Kung yun po ay present when the rape is through sexual assault, reclusion temporal na po kagad ang magiging parusa sa kanya. So that is, na-elevate po siya, no? Yung parusa natin. Kung kanina po is 6 to 6 years to 12 years lang. Ngayon po magiging 12 years na siya to 20 years. No? Okay, so here is uh, a legal implication po, no? Kasi meron po tayong sinasabi na pardon by the victim, no? Kasi paano kung pinatawad ng biktima yung nang rape sa kanya, no? So because rape, ang isa po sa elemento kasi 'di ba ng rape is it must be against the will of the victim, no? So what if the victim subsequently, no? Uh, forgive or pinatawad niya yung nang rape sa kanya, what would be the effect, no? So dito po pag pinakasalan ng biktima yung nang offend sa kanya, yung perpetrator niya, no? Na-extinguish po yung criminal action sa kanya, no? So ibig sabihin mawawalan na po siya ng crime, no? Bakit? Kasi yung biktima ay pinatawad niya yung ng biktima sa kanya. However, no, yung pong ano natin dito is paano kung madami, no? Madami ang nang rape doon sa biktima, no? What if the perpetrators are two or more? No, medyo magkakaroon po tayo ng problema dyan. Kasi if the mode of delivering the pardon is through marriage, hindi naman po niya pwedeng pakasalan lahat. 'Di ba? Nang rape sa kanya. So, isa lang po ang mapapatawad niya through this mode, no? So, yun lang pong papakasalan niya kasi hindi naman po niya pwedeng pakasalan yung lahat, no? So, ano pong mangyayari doon sa kaso ng iba, no? Tuloy pa rin po yung kaso doon sa iba, no? So, ang deemed lang po natin na napatawad is yung pinakasalan ng biktima, no? In case it is the legal husband who is the offender, no? Ito po yung in case po ng marital rape, no? The subsequent forgiveness by the wife as the offended party shall extinguish the criminal action of the penalty, no? Provided that the crime shall not be extinguished or the penalty shall not be abated if the marriage is void ab initio. So dito po kasi, no? Kasal na nga kayo eh, no? Tapos yung lalaki ah nag-commit siya ng marital rape. No? So, pinuwersan niya yung kanyang asawa na mag-engage in sexual intercourse. So, since hindi na po pwede, napakasalan ulit ng babae yung asawa niya. Kasi asawa na nga niya eh. Forgiveness na. Forgiveness na lang po ang tinitingnan natin dito. Pag pinatawad ng babae ang lalaki. No? So, kadalasan po dito, how do you know that the woman, the wife, forgave the husband? No? If she continuously cohabits with the husband, despite the fact that nag-commit ng sexual marital rape yung asawa, and still she continues to cohabit with the husband at uh, given the chance that she could have left the husband, hindi niya iniwanan pa rin yung asawa niya. It could be presumed, no, and implied that she forgave the husband, no. However, ang ating nga pong probiso dito, no, paano kung yung palang kasal ay void ab initio o ibig sabihin walang bisa, no? So ibig sabihin, pag ganun po nangyari, no, kailangan na po nating i-apply yung una, no, which is kailangan po na may valid marriage, no? So since hindi po valid yung marriage nila, pwede pa rin pong kasuhan ng babae yung lalaki, no? At yung kanyang parusa ay hindi po pwedeng ma-abate, no? Ang tanong, edi pwede po bang subsequently mag-asawa sila para po masabi natin na na-pardon yung babae? No? Well, possible po yun. No? Kasi yun nga pong unang marriage nila is void ab initio. Okay? Ano pong presumptions natin? Kasi ang ano po natin dito kasi ang elements po dapat po kasi ay, 'di ba, against the will of the victim yung nangyari sa kanya. So, ano po ba ang ating pwedeng sabihin na pruweba na talagang yung babae o yung biktima ay tumatanggi doon sa ginagawa sa kanya, no? Well, any physical overt act manifesting resistance against the act of rape in any degree from the offended party or where the offended party is so situated as to render her or him incapable of giving consent, no, may be accepted as evidence in the prosecution of the acts punished under this law. No? So kahit ano po na prueba na para patunayan natin na yung babae naman po is nag-post ng resistance, no? Na tumanggi siya, na sinabi niya no, o kaya ay nagmanifest siya na hindi niya gusto yung ginagawa sa kanya, no? Yun ay pwede na po natin gawing ebidensya, no? Pag napatunayan din po natin na yung babae by reason of her situation, hindi niya kayang ibigay yung kanyang valid consent. No? For example, yung babae lasing o kaya ay yung babae ay medyo under the influence of drugs. No? Pag napatunayan po natin na may ganong situation yung babae, it could be used, no, in the prosecution of this crime. Now, ang isa po nating ano diyan, ang isa po nating mainit na issue pagdating sa rape is yung pong marital rape. No, kasi tayo po sa mga Pilipino, no, for the longest time we believe in the notion that there cannot be marital rape, no? Kasi ang iniisip natin, it is the obligation of the woman to satisfy, no, yung pong sexual needs ng kanyang asawa, no? So that is an archaic belief, no? Hindi na po tayo dapat naniniwala sa ganong klase ng notion, no? So ngayon po we solidify the fact that there are cases of marital rapes, no? And this can be punishable now, no? If there is a lack of consent and willingness of wives to engage themselves in sexual intimacy, it will be considered as marital rape. So even if kasal na po kayo and your husband is trying to engage you in sexual intercourse and it is against her will, ayaw nyo na, no? And still the husband kept on doing it or kept on insisting on it, it can be considered as marital rape. Okay? Now here's a little bit of tidbit po, no? Trivia po, there is no frustrated rape, no? There is only attempted or consummated rape, no? So this is according po sa jurisprudence natin, no? Specifically, this is applicable on the first kind of rape, which is rape via sexual intercourse, no? Bakit daw po, no? Kasi ang ating po crimes are divided into three stages, no? The attempted stage, the frustrated stage, and the consummated stage, no? So pag attempted stage po, no? The preparations are done, but not enough, no? The actions are not enough to consummate the act, no? Pag frustrated stage naman po, ginawa mo ng lahat, all the acts are done to produce the effect. However, for some reason, independent from the will of the perpetrator, no, the crime was not committed, no, as intended by the perpetrator. And of course, pag consummated naman po, nagawa niya kung ano yung kanyang intention. No? So pag sinabi po nating attempted rape, sinubukan niyang raping yung biktima, yung babae. And specifically, we're talking about sexual intercourse here. No? So sinubukan niya possibly yung babae, nakawala, nakatakbo. That's attempted rape. No? So there was a clear intention by the perpetrator to rape the woman. However, by some reason, nakawala si babae, hindi natuloy yung pang-rape. That's attempted. No? Of course, alam na natin pag consummated na rape nga yung girl. No? However, pag frustrated rape kasi, that means to say you did everything and yet hindi na-produce yung effect. No? For example, pag sa frustrated homicide, no? Sinaksak ka na, no? Ng ilang beses pero because you're so resilient, hindi ka naman namatay. No? Frustrated yon. However, pagdating sa rape, there cannot be frustrated rape. Why? Kasi kahit gawin mo lahat, tapos hindi mo pa rin siya na-rape, anong nangyari? No? Ibig sabihin, hindi mo nagawa lahat ng step kung hindi mo talaga siya na-rape. And therefore, that would be attempted. No? Attempted lang po siya. No? Paano daw po pagka the insertion of the organ of the male organ into the female organ is not complete? What if portion lang ng male organ ang nakapasok doon sa orifice, sa private organ ng babae? No? Rape na po kagad yun. Why? Kasi ang ating pong indicator pagdating sa rape is as long as there is a penetration, no? Penetration of the female organ, no? No matter how long or how deep it is, no? Basta nagkaroon ng penetration po yan po ay rape na kagad, consummated na kagad. Kahit yung ulo lang po ang nakapasok or even half lang po nakapasok, no? Yan po ay may penetration na. If that happens, then consummated na po siya. Okay? Is rape bailable? Bailable po ba ang rape? No? The answer is, for rape by sexual intercourse, yes. No? Bakit? Kasi po, bail is a matter of right conferred by the Constitution. No? Ang exception lang po dyan is, sabi rin po ng Constitution, ay pagka ang penalty is reclusion perpetua to death. No? And if the guilt is strong, no? The proof of guilt is strong. So ito po discretionary ito sa judge, no? Sa court natin, no? So kasi pagka ang kanyang penalty na imposable is reclusion perpetua to death, no? At malakas yung ebidensya na totoong ginawa ito ng perpetrator natin, no? Pwede nilang i-deny yung bail. If the proof of guilt is not strong, then it is a matter of right. No? Pwede talaga siyang mag-post ng bail. But if it is for rape through sexual assault, definitely yes. No? Pwede po siya. Kasi ang maximum po kasi ng penalty para sa sexual assault through ng rape through sexual assault is reclusion temporal. No? So hindi po siya reclusion perpetua. And therefore, pwede po talaga siyang bailable. Okay? So, that's it po for our topic. So, thank you for listening. I hope you learned something from our discussion. Salamat po.
On questions about human trafficking. Let me read the common questions. Let me share it with you. First, what is human trafficking? Different types of human trafficking. How human trafficking different from smuggling? Where can victims be found? What can you do if someone is victim? Demographic of human trafficking in the Philippines. Online sexual exploitation of children. For info, meron tayong 50,000 na kaso. Pagka naman doon sa domestic workers under 15 years old, we have 5. And then meron tayong 60 to 100,000 Filipino children are impacted by labor trafficking. Okay? So, expanded human trafficking in person Act of 2022, known as Republic Act 1182, and was signed by former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte on June 23, 2022. Okay. So, Republic Act 11862, also known as the Expanded Anti-Trafficking in Person Act of 2022, amended Republic Act 9208, the Anti-Trafficking in Persons Act of 2003, to strengthen anti-human trafficking efforts in the Philippines. Okay. RA 1162. Ano ba yung purpose ng RA 1162? Ang purpose, it is a law that strengthen anti-trafficking policies and provides of course or penalizes for violation. Okay, another, what kind of violation? Trafficking is definitely violation of human rights and dignity. It is a crime, definitely. It is a crime. It is considered a crime when someone is recruited, obtained, hired, or transported for the purpose of exploiting forced labor or other forms of sexual exploitation. Bakit naipasa yung batas ng expanding anti-trafficking in persons? What are the basis for the enactment of expanded anti-trafficking persons, also known as Republic Act 11862? Number one, because we have our Constitution under Article 3, Section 1. Alam na nating lahat to. No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, property without a due process of law, nor shall any person be denied of the equal protection of the law. Another, we have Article 3, Section 11 of our Constitution states that the state values human dignity and guarantees respect for human rights. Article 3 defines concept and practice of human rights and prohibits the use of torture, force, violence. The Constitution also requires security forces to respect human rights and directs learning institution to teach human rights and citizenship. Ano-ano yung mga features ng human trafficking? What are the important features? Number one, it increased penalties for trafficking. Number two, enhances the protection of victims' human rights. Number three, better coordination between GO and NGO, governmental organization, non-governmental organization. Another is accountability of internet intermediaries. Another, investigation protocol. Law enforcement agencies must investigate possible violation of RA 11862 within 10 days. And last, support and rehabilitation services for the victims of human trafficking. In the first question, in common question, sinabi natin, ano ba yung human trafficking? So let us define human trafficking refers to the recruitment, obtaining, hiring, providing, offering, transportation, transfer, maintaining, harboring, or receipt of persons with or without the victim's consent or knowledge within or across national borders by means of threat or use of force or other forms of coercion, abduction, fraud, deception, abuse of power or of position, taking advantage of the vulnerability of the person for giving or receiving of payments or benefits to achieve the consent of a person having control over another person. For the purpose of exploitation, which includes at a minimum the exploitation or the prostitution of others, for engagement of others for the production or distribution, or both, of materials that depict child sexual abuse or exploitation, or other forms of sexual exploitation, forced labor or services, slavery, servitude, or the removal or sale of organ. Transporting per se, hiring, providing, offering is not trafficking unless the requisites or following requirements, as I have mentioned, example by means of threats, as defined in our trafficking. Okay, next. When do you consider an act as a trafficking? Sinabi ko kanina, yung pagta-transport, pag-hire, hindi naman yan trafficking. Walang human trafficking. Nagkakaroon lang ng human trafficking kapag mayroong threat, mayroong paggamit ng puwersa o other forms of coercion, abduction, fraud, deception, abuse of power or position, taking advantage of the vulnerability of the person, or giving or receiving of payments or benefits to achieve the consent of a person having control over another person, for the purpose of exploitation, which includes at a minimum the exploitation or the prostitution of others, or engagement of others from the production or distribution, or both, the materials that depict child sexual abuse or exploitation, or other forms of sexual exploitation, forced labor or services, slavery, servitude, or the removal of or sale of the organs. Okay. Ano-ano ba? What is qualified trafficking? Yan. Kasi pagka na sinabing qualified trafficking, hindi ito yung commission of the crime or offense doon sa mga parati ng nabibiktima. Meron tayong tinatawag na qualified trafficking. Yung qualified trafficking, of course, if we will use the revised penal code, meron tayong tinatawag na aggravating circumstances. Yung penalty ay tumataas kesa kung ang human trafficking ay na-commit sa mga tao na hindi kasama dito sa tinatawag nating the crime ng qualified trafficking in person. Ano ba yung qualified trafficking in persons? Is a term used to describe trafficking that meets the following criteria, including kapag ang trafficking, ang biktima ay minor. Kapag natin sa sinabing minor, ito yung tinatawag nating na wala pang 18 taon pababa. So kapag yan ang crime was committed against the minor, ang tawag natin dyan ay qualified trafficking. Kapag if the offender commits one or more acts of trafficking over a period of at least 60 days, yan ay qualified trafficking in persons. Nung ibig sabihin nun, isang beses lang nagawa pero sa loob ng 60 days. O kaya naman, more acts ng trafficking over a period of at least 60 days. Okay? Kapag ang human trafficking ay nakumit o the offender committed human trafficking during crisis, disorder, or disaster or calamities and the like, katulad ng sunog, ng bagyo, kapag ang human trafficking ay ginawa na kung ang biktima ay nakakaranas ng mga sakuna, tawag natin dyan ay qualified trafficking. Kapag ang biktima ay nabuntis, the trafficked person suffered mental or emotional disorder. Katulad na sinabi ni Attorney Jansen kanina. Na kapag ang biktima ay nakaranas ng mental or emotional disorder, mayroong qualified trafficking in persons. At last, kapag ang krimen ay nagawa through the use of information and communication technology. As I said a while ago, ang penalty nito ay hindi katulad ng penalty ng mga hindi kasama dito sa qualified trafficking in persons. Ito ay mataas. Nagkaroon ng aggravating circumstances dito. The penalty of life imprisonment, ang iba ang tawag dito sa ating revised penal code ay reclusion perpetua, 20 years and 1 day to 40 years, and a fine of 2 million but not more than 5 million shall be imposed upon conviction by final judgment. Sino ang pwedeng makakomit ng trafficking? Sino ang pwedeng maging offender? Anyone can commit trafficking, including individuals and organizations. And they can be of any nationality, gender, or profession. When we speak of individuals, we're talking of the family members, partners, acquaintances, strangers, pimps, gang members, diplomats, business owners, labor, brokers, and farm, factory, and company owners. Pagka naman natin sinabing organization o organisasyon, ito yung organized criminal enterprise. Okay? So, what are the programs that addresses trafficking in person? Ano-ano yung mga programa ng gobyerno sa mga nabiktima ng tinatawag nating human trafficking? Ano ang gagawin ng gobyerno? The government shall establish and implement preventive, protective, and rehabilitative programs for trafficked persons. If the trafficked person is OFW, the Department of Foreign Affairs shall make available its resources and facilities overseas and provide free legal assistance. Number 2, ensure as far as practicable that all convicted sex offenders in all jurisdictions shall not be allowed entry in the Philippines. Provide immediate protection, repatriation, or both to Filipino victims of trafficking overseas, and recommend measures and undertake joint efforts and mutual assistance among foreign countries. Adopt measures and policies to protect the rights and needs of victims who are foreign nationals or asylum seekers, refugees, stateless applicants, and stateless person in the Philippines. Okay. When to file an action for human trafficking? When to file an action for human trafficking? Sa ating batas, meron tayong prescriptive period na kung saan ang isang na biktima ay mag-file ng kaso na within 10 years from the time of the commission of the crime. Pagka committed by syndicate or large scale, the prescriptive period to file an action is within 20 years. Yan, medyo matagal yon, 20 years. And then sa individual, 10 years. Ano yung body na inatasan ng ating batas na makipag-coordinate at mag-monitor sa implementation ng Republic Act 11862. Tawag natin dyan ay Interagency Council Against Trafficking or IACAT. Ang mga membro nito ay ang Department of Justice, Bureau of Immigration, Department of Social Welfare and Development, Department of Labor and Employment, Department of Interior and Local Government, National Bureau of Investigation, Department of Migrant Worker, Department of Transportation, Chairperson ng National Commission on Women, Chairperson ng Indigenous Community, Department of Health, Department of Education. So yan po yung mga ahensya ng gobyerno na kung saan ay merong mandato ayon sa ating batas. Ano ang function ng council? Siyempre, meron silang function. Ano yung kanilang dapat gawin doon sa mga kaso ng human trafficking? Ang number one, mag-formulate sila ng tinatawag natin na comprehensive and integrated program to prevent and suppress the trafficking in person. Access current data collection, develop effective referral system, conduct periodic study, impose administrative sanctions, exercise all powers, and perform such other functions necessary to attain the purpose and objective of the act. Ngayon, kapag nalaman na nagkaroon ng kaso about human trafficking, ang mga records nito ay confidential. Hindi ito pwedeng ilathala, lalong-lalo na ipapangalan, bigyan ng pangalan ng mga biktima. Kasi ito ay isang confidential. Okay? Next. Jurisdiction. Ayan. Pagka natin sinabing jurisdiction, sino ba ang merong power na dinggin ang kaso? Pagka sa atin, siyempre sa buong Pilipinas, may jurisdiction ang ating korte. Since na ang trafficking is a continuing offense, the state shall acquire jurisdiction even the offense is committed outside the Philippines, being trafficking is a continuing offense. Ano-ano ang mga penalty sa mga nakagawa ng krimen o human rights violation patungkol dito sa human trafficking? A license ng recruitment or managing agency who recruited and deployed an underage shall be automatically be revoked and penalized 1 million to 3 million pesos. If the filing of the complaint is coupled with malice, harassment, persecuting, or wiretapping, shall suffer 1 year imprisonment and a fine not less than 500,000 but not more than 1 million pesos. Kapag naman empleyado o opisyalis ng gobyerno, issuance of any documents such as exit clearance, passport, marriage license, or certificate which are against the procedures and requirements shall be administratively liable without prejudice of filing criminal case. At siyempre, meron tayong tinatawag na upon conviction by final judgment, perpetual disqualification from public office. Ano yun? Kapag taga-gobyerno ang nakagawa ng krimen na ito, sila ay upon conviction by final judgment, hindi na sila pwedeng bumalik at magtrabaho sa ating gobyerno. Okay, maraming salamat po. Diyan po natatapos ang ating presentation. Thank you po.